Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers child abandonment, harboring fugitives, and warrantless entries, and is brought to us by the Greeley Tribune's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Before we dive into the interaction, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this episode, Raycon. If you're still using wired headphones in 2021, let me quickly tell you a few reasons why you should drop the wires and pick up a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds. Unlike standard earbuds from other brands, Raycons come in a variety of colors and patterns, with various fit options for ears of all sizes. Raycons last 6 hours continuously on a single charge and offer a ton of bass and a noise-isolating fit that is perfect for wearing around the house and at the gym. With no wires to worry about, you can fold laundry and work out with these, all while listening to your favorite podcast or artist. Raycons are a fraction of the price of competing brands, so you won't go broke buying the same pair of earbuds that celebrities like Snoop Dogg and Mike Tyson love. Raycon is so confident that you'll love their earbuds that they offer a 45-day free return policy so that you have absolutely nothing to lose. Click on the link in my description or go to buyraycon.com/audit to get 15% off your order and choose the color that fits your style. Thanks again to Raycon for sponsoring this episode. On June 28, 2019, at 11:14 a.m., Officer Casey Barnum of the Greeley Police Department visited the Greeley, Colorado apartment of mother of three, Rose Perez, to follow up on a call that Ms. Perez's 16-year-old son, Trey, made to the Weld County Dispatch from the apartment complex's main office. In the call, Trey reported that he had missed an Adams County court date that morning because Ms. Perez had allegedly kicked him out and refused to take him to the hearing. Officer Barnum walked up the stairs to the apartment and knocked on the door.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
So we're getting a call from your son saying that you guys are kicking him out.
I actually just got home. He has a warrant out for his arrest.
Right,
Out
for
of-
possibly for not doing court or something.
Yep, that's right. Yep, that is right.
And he's calling us saying you're kicking him out of the house.
I just got home from court, like literally just walked in the house. It's been my sister, and he actually hasn't been allowed in my house because he did this the last time, and I had to do a well check because I was at work. So I did tell her not to open the door if he came back, if I'm not here.
You can't do that.
While Officer Barnum informs Ms. Perez that she cannot refuse to allow her child into her home when she is not there, he does not cite any legal authority for this assertion. Under Section 14-13-102 of the Colorado Revised Statutes, a minor is considered abandoned when left without provision for reasonable and necessary care or supervision. And Section 14-6-101 makes it a Class 5 felony to willfully neglect, fail, or refuse to provide reasonable support and maintenance for children under 18. The necessary level of care and supervision will vary depending on the child's age and other relevant circumstances. Section 19-3-604 of the Colorado Revised Statutes, which details when the legal relationship between a parent and child can be terminated by the state, defines abandonment as a situation where the parent has surrendered physical custody of the child for 6 months or more without showing firm intention to resume physical custody of the child or to make permanent legal arrangements for the care of the child. There is nothing in any of these provisions that requires the care and supervision to occur in the parent's home, or grants a child an unconditional right of entry to the parent's home. In this situation, Trey had been staying with Ms. Perez's sister-in-law. Ms. Perez remained in contact with him, and he was still permitted to enter the home when Ms. Perez was present. Under these circumstances, Officer Barnum would have no legal basis to conclude that Ms. Perez had abandoned her child. Colorado also criminalizes child abandonment under the offense of child abuse, which Section 18-6-401 of the Colorado Revised Statutes defines as causing an injury to a child's life or health, permitting a child to be unreasonably placed in a situation that poses a threat of injury to the child's life or health, or engaging in a continued pattern of conduct that results in malnourishment, lack of proper medical care, cruel punishment, mistreatment, or an accumulation of injuries that ultimately results in the death of a child or serious bodily injury to a child. Since this law only applies to children under the age of 16, Ms. Perez could not be prosecuted for child abuse for her parenting decisions regarding Trey. However, she could potentially face child abuse charges for allowing Trey in the home around her two young children, particularly if he injured them, as this could be considered permitting them to be unreasonably placed in a situation that poses a threat of injury to their life or health.
Okay, well either way he has a warrant out for his arrest, so you guys can deal with it. Okay?
So, as a mother,
Okay, I gotta go, okay? I'll call you back.
so I'm pretty sure I know which warrant it is. It was for the incident a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna come outside.
He's not coming to go to flat for that.
Okay. It's not a warrant for that. It was a warrant today because he failed to show up for court. So let me explain to you, officer, what's been going on, okay? So first off, he's kicked my door down before.
Okay.
The whole entire thing. The other day I was at work, and I can't leave work to come and see what's going on. I have small baby children here.
Okay.
And he did this to my door while I was gone. While I was gone, not while I was here.
So, ma'am?
So I did a well check. No, please hear me out first,
Okay.
because I know exactly where you're going with this. Okay? So I asked him on his birthday, which was Tuesday, to get his butt home.
Okay.
He failed to come home. I don't know if he told you that or not, but he failed to come home.
Okay.
Okay, so he went to my sister-in-law's house and has been there since.
Okay.
And I told him, if you're not here by Friday morning in order to go to court, Trey, I'm going to court on my own.
Okay.
Which I did this morning. I went to court on my own. His court was at 9:30, and I will show
It's
you
fine.
where
I'll
I
bring you to
told
court
him.
anyway.
Okay, I told him your court is at 9:30, so
Okay.
you better be here doing what you're supposed to be doing, or I'm going to court on my own.
Okay.
And guess what I did? Because he just got here.
Okay.
So what did I do? I went to court on my own.
Okay.
Okay, so he has a warrant out for his arrest out of out of Adams County right now for
Okay.
failure to appear. And the judge specifically told me, I told her everything that happened, as I'm telling you.
Okay.
And am I kicking him out now? Yeah, he has a warrant out for his arrest. He's not welcome in my home until he gets that taken care of.
Okay.
Okay.
You can't do that.
Yes, I can.
No, you
He's
cannot.
a fugitive. Yes, I can.
You can call. Listen.
Yes, I can.
Listen.
What?
I listen to you.
Okay, what?
You can call us if he comes, but you cannot say you can't come in. And if you lock him out, he can kick your door to get in because he lives here.
Ms. Perez informs Officer Barnum that Trey is not welcome in her home because he is a fugitive and that she will not allow him to return until he takes care of the warrant. Section 18-8-105 of the Colorado Revised Statutes, which defines the criminal offense of being an accessory to crime, prohibits harboring or concealing another individual with the intent to hinder, delay, or prevent their discovery, detection, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment for the commission of a crime. There are no exceptions to this law for harboring family members or minors. It is feasible that Ms. Perez could be subject to charges under this statute if she allowed Trey into her home, although it may be challenging to prove that she specifically intended to hinder, delay, or prevent his prosecution. By allowing Trey to stay in her home, Ms. Perez could also potentially face charges for contributing to the delinquency of a minor, which Section 18-6-701 of the Colorado Revised Statutes defines as inducing, aiding, or encouraging a child to violate any federal or state law, municipal or county ordinance, or court order. In response to Ms. Perez's argument, Officer Barnum states that she is not allowed to prevent Trey from entering her home, and that if she locks him out, he is allowed to kick down the door to enter. While Trey could possibly be charged with an array of crimes for kicking down the door, depending on the specific circumstances of the incident, at the very least, he could be charged with criminal mischief, more commonly known as vandalism. Section 18-4-501 of the Colorado Revised Statutes defines criminal mischief as knowingly damaging the real or personal property of one or more other individuals, including property owned by the individual jointly with another. Whether the apartment is a rental or owned by Ms. Perez, any intentional damage to the door would be considered criminal mischief.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something. He may not kick my door.
Okay.
Okay?
If you lock him out, he can.
Okay, I didn't lock him out. My sister did. If he is being a havoc, well, my sister is here babysitting my children.
Okay.
He is not welcome
Then
here.
she needs to call us. You can't kick
Oh,
him
we
out.
did call you. We did call. We did a well check. They came. The officer came and you can check that.
Okay.
The officer came and did that. He hasn't been home since until today.
Okay.
Today he was locked out again, and the reason that he was locked out was because I wasn't home. When I'm home, then he can come.
That's not how this
Okay,
works.
too bad, so sad. Goodbye.
No, that's not how. Ma'am, listen. That is
You-
not how.
Ms. Perez attempts to end the conversation by entering her apartment and closing the door, and Officer Barnum kicks the door open before she can shut it, which Ms. Perez appears to interpret as an attempt to enter her apartment. Ms. Perez attempts to repel Officer Barnum by shoving him back, and Officer Barnum grabs her by the arm, pulls her out of the apartment, handcuffs her, and informs her he is placing her under arrest. The Fourth Amendment protects citizens from unreasonable governmental intrusion into their homes. As the Supreme Court of Colorado stated in the 1999 case of People v. Lewis, the principal protection for citizens against governmental intrusion into their homes is the requirement that a warrant to enter be based on probable cause. In order to enter a home without a warrant, police officers must have probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed, and exigent circumstances necessitating immediate police action must exist. In Colorado, there are 3 general categories of exigent circumstances: hot pursuit of a fleeing suspect, a risk of immediate destruction of evidence, and an emergency that threatens the life or safety of another. In this situation, Officer Barnum did not have probable cause that a crime had been committed, nor were there exigent circumstances that justified entering Ms. Perez's apartment without a warrant. Therefore, any entry into the home under these circumstances would be illegal. Section 18-1-705 of the Colorado Revised Statutes allows an individual who is in possession or control of any building, realty, or other premises to use reasonable and appropriate physical force upon another individual when reasonably necessary to prevent what the individual reasonably believes to be the commission or attempted commission of an unlawful trespass. The First Division of the Colorado Court of Appeals determined in the 1988 case of People v. Lutz that this section is not just applicable to civilians, but it also applies to unlawful entries where the trespassers happen to be police officers. Therefore, if Ms. Perez reasonably believed that Officer Barnum was entering her home illegally, there is a legitimate argument to be made that she had the statutory privilege to resist the unlawful intrusion into the sanctuary of her private home. It is important to bear in mind that this statute does not grant citizens the right to resist an officer's entry into their home if the officer has legitimately acquired probable cause to enter with the complement of exigent circumstances, and it is extremely difficult for the average citizen to determine whether an officer's intrusion into their home is legal or not. So it is extremely unwise to physically resist officers who warrantlessly enter a private citizen's home. In situations like this one, it is almost always best to allow the officers to enter the home and challenge the legitimacy of the entry later in court, regardless of whatever statutory privileges may be granted to citizens. It is not worth the risk of mistakenly resisting a lawful entry from police and putting yourself and other occupants of your home in unnecessary danger. After arresting Ms. Perez, Officer Barnum placed her in the back seat of his police vehicle. She demanded to speak with his supervisor, Sergeant Wade Corliss, who joined Officer Barnum at the scene. Ms. Perez was held in the cruiser for about an hour until Sergeant Corliss ordered Officer Barnum to let her go. Greeley Police Chief Mark Jones and Deputy Chief Adam Turk visited Ms. Perez at a later date to follow up on the incident. And according to a September 20th, 2019 letter the agency sent to Ms. Perez, the department determined that Officer Barnum's actions, quote, were not appropriate or according to department policy. In November 2019, the Greeley PD announced that Officer Barnum was no longer with the department. On June 26, 2020, Ms. Perez filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the District of Colorado against Officer Barnum, Sergeant Corliss, and the City of Greeley for violation of her Fourth Amendment rights. Ms. Perez's complaint also alleges that she suffered physical injuries to her left hand and wrist, including pain, swelling, bruising, and dequervin tenosynovitis, which is a painful inflammation of tendons at the base of the thumb. As of the date of this video, the litigation is ongoing. Overall, Officer Barnum gets an F for failing to conduct a thorough investigation, displaying a fundamental misunderstanding of Colorado's child abandonment laws, and entering Ms. Perez's home without the legal authority to do so. This is yet another case of an officer failing to do their due diligence of understanding the laws they are charged with enforcing, and neglecting to adhere to the boundaries of the Fourth Amendment. Officer Barnum had plenty of time to contact a supervisor to ensure that he was carrying out his duty appropriately, but instead, he chose to enforce his understanding of the law, rather than clarifying that he was doing so accurately. Officer Barnum's attempt to enter Ms. Perez's home was totally unnecessary, and is yet another aspect of this encounter that could have been avoided with the advice of a superior officer. The fact that Ms. Perez was detained for nearly an hour only adds to the scope of the Fourth Amendment violations that occurred, and I fail to see how it took the Greeley officers that long to determine that Ms. Perez's arrest was uncalled for. I commend the Greeley Police Department for their decision to fire Officer Barnum, and I sincerely hope that the department used this encounter as an opportunity to educate all of their officers on the relevant statutes and case law. Ms. Perez gets an A, Because although she did allow her emotions to dictate the outcome of this interaction, she did everything she could to dispel the officer's suspicions. She did not allow Officer Barnum to intimidate her, and she followed up this encounter with the proper legal action. Officer Barnum's assertion that Ms. Perez was legally obligated to subject her younger children to the violent nature of her older son was beyond ridiculous, and I can definitely see why she was so emotional about the officer's conduct. Although Ms. Perez's decision to push the officer out of her apartment was somewhat reckless, Colorado statutes justify her actions, and it is highly unlikely a court would rule against her in that respect. As always, the courts will consider the totality of circumstances involved in this interaction, and I find it highly unlikely that a court would come to the conclusion that Ms. Perez's obligations to her son outweighed her obligations to her younger children. Much of this interaction stemmed from the poorly executed discretionary decisions of Officer Barnum, and I have no doubt that Ms. Perez will fare well in the courtroom. I commend Ms. Perez for standing up for her civil liberties and for following up this encounter with a lawsuit. Be sure to give your support to the Greeley Tribune for covering this story. You can find a link to their channel in the description below. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out the ATA Patreon page for more police interaction content.